Or sound in case it may do that. Good evening. If you could please find your seats. We're also happy to be back in a group in person that I don't blame you for wanting to visit. So I'm Marianne Edwards. I am honored to be the mayor of Temecula, and I am going to call to order this session of the City Council on October 12th. So the first thing we're going to do is the invocation, and that will be Aaron Adams, and that will be followed by the flag salute, and I'll be conducting the flag salute. So if you could please stand for the invocation.
Would you please bow your head with me? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we give you thanks for today. We give you thanks for living in this beautiful city and working in this city. And tonight we just ask your blessing and your wisdom and discernment on the Temecula City Council, the business at hand. Lord, we lift up those in our community that are hurting today. We just ask you wrap your arms around them. And we also ask for continued protection of our police and fire personnel. We pray for all the folks on the front line, our teachers, our healthcare workers, and everyone that's working hard in our community to keep it safe and keep it healthy. And again, just to ask your blessings on the meeting this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Aaron. Would you join me in our flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Madam City Clerk, could we please have the roll call?
Yes, Councilmember Alexander. Here. Mayor Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Ron.
Here.
Councilmember Schwank.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Thank you, Randy. We have a number of presentations this evening, and again, I'm going to be assisted by Mayor Pro Tem Matt Ron, but the first one is going to be for Monique Payan from Toastmasters, and it's Toastmasters Month. So, Monique, yay. So come on up. And I know I said in my first 4 words tonight, so.
The awe counter would catch you on that one.
Yeah, I'll try not to. So, let me see, got a great proclamation here. So I actually participated with Toastmasters one time, and it was really fun, actually, very fun. So this is City of Temecula Proclamation, whereas the City Council of the City of Temecula recognizes Toastmasters International, a nonprofit educational organization, a national and international leadership organization in making effective oral communication a reality for hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. And whereas the ability to speak clearly and effectively is a powerful and important skill that can help individuals overcome barriers to effective performance in virtually every endeavor and line of work. And whereas the Toastmasters International program complements existing training programs, is cost-effective, and helps people improve their communication, leadership, and mentoring skills, teamwork, productivity, and effectiveness in meetings. And whereas the District 12 Area C3 Professional Women Toastmasters Club was formed in 2016 in Temecula, California, and today, after 5 years of outstanding achievement as a President's Distinguished Club, the Professional Women Toastmasters Mentors supports and leads individuals to improve their leadership and communication skills. And whereas the Professional Women Toastmasters Club performs a valuable service to its members and the community that promotes self-actualization, enhances leadership potential, fosters human understanding, and contributes to the betterment of humankind. So I, Marianne Edwards, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Temecula, hereby present you with this Toastmasters Proclamation. So congratulations and thank you. And you have to speak.
Yes, thank you.
You must speak.
Thank you, Mayor Marianne Edwards and City of Temecula for recognizing professional women Toastmasters, especially in the month of October as Toastmasters International celebrates its 97th anniversary. Wow. Toastmasters, as you mentioned, is a work-by-doing workshop where members get to hone in on their leadership and public speaking skills in a fun, friendly, and supportive environment. I personally, as Vice President Public Relations, have been able to grow in my commitment, my communication, and of course, public speaking, like such as today. We meet every Monday from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. via Zoom, and I am blessed to work and be able to mentor side by side with the wonderful women of professional Toastmasters, and some of them are here with me today. Thank you.
Thank you. So Matt has your proclamation. And you did not say one time. So are we taking photos?
Yes, please.
Sure, go ahead.
Get Matt in the photo?
Come on, Matt. Compose.
Just, we'll share it.
Well, you look good from this side. Very nice. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I always told our children, if you can write well and speak well, you'll do well. So our next proclamation is for Domestic Violence Month, and we have Kathy Gilbertson here from SAVE. Kathy, come on up, please. How are you? We haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. So this is one that we, of course, do annually, and it really has a lot of meaning for every city everywhere in the United States, because domestic violence knows no boundaries. It knows no race. It knows no income. Knows no success. No education. It takes place everywhere. So this is a proclamation from the city of Temecula. Domestic violence affects many lives in the city of Temecula, and its impacts are felt not only by the victims, but their children, families, communities. And far too many people suffer abuse at the hands of their partners, and domestic violence victims can be of any age, race, religion, or economic status. And domestic violence is not a private family matter. It is a crime, the consequences of which have a devastating effect on communities, schools, and workplaces. Children from violent homes are physically abused or seriously neglected at a higher rate than the national average and have greater risks of substance abuse, juvenile delinquency, cognitive and developmental problems, as well as fear, anxiety, and guilt. Domestic violence is more than the occasional family dispute. It is also known as an intimate partner violence, where all behaviors are perpetuated by someone who is, was, or wishes to be involved in an intimate or dating relationship, and are aimed at establishing control by one partner over the other. Public awareness and education about domestic violence are indeed, as well as collaborative efforts on the part of government, health professionals, law enforcement, religious organizations, educators, and community associations to address domestic violence prevention, intervention, and treatment of victims. Therefore, I, Mary Ann Edwards, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Temecula, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And thank you for all that you do to protect women, children, and men and families, get them out of those situations where they're suffering domestic violence. So Mayor Pro Tem Ron's going to come down and give you the proclamation. So give us a little update.
Yeah, so we are actually here to provide some information about Domestic Violence Awareness Month, obviously. I thank you for having me. But what I'd like to share with everyone is that we're coming off of a really big week. So we just had a golf tournament yesterday to help raise funds for our programs. It was very successful. And we're here today receiving our proclamation and in observance of a Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and then we'll be with you throughout the rest of the week at the State of the City. So we're really rocking it this week in terms of being on tour. What I'd like to share, though, is that it's an unfortunate thing that our community even has to think about what domestic violence means. We're entering our 23rd year of service here in the Temecula Valley, which is incredible. But what I can tell you is that, unfortunately, the need for help that our community has not diminished. And so it's important that we share with our citizens here in the community that abuse and intimate partner relationships that are unhealthy are a thing that still very much exists today. And what we know is that for many people, experiencing something like that is very scary, brings a lot of grief to individuals, and is something that is often very embarrassing. So to think of an avenue of where someone could get help is often not the first thing that people turn to, and most people think that they have to hide it and deal with it. And that's why we're here. So in the most darkest days of an individual who needs us, it's our job to provide support, guidance, shelter, emergency assistance, and all of the things that they need to become stable and find their freedom. In the opposite spectrum of that, where we spend the majority of our time, is teaching the community about healthy relationships. So we have quite a bit of youth programs that we operate our Police Activities League with the City of Temecula and our City of Murrieta and Menifee. And we do weekly programming every week with our kids to talk to them about healthy relationships and help the community and the kids in our community grow up knowing what boundaries and healthy discussions and things like that look like. So I know it's sometimes an unfortunate topic to have to deal with domestic violence, but know that we're also doing a lot of really good in the community to raise people who have good, healthy standards on relationship education. So outside of that, we'll be back very soon, I'm sure. But I just want to thank you for supporting us in these 23 years.
I can't believe it's been, I was on the founding board. I cannot believe it's been 23 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you. You provide an absolutely vital service.
Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you.
Hi.
Matt, you just, want to stay there, except this one's a little bit, has an exception. This is a proclamation for National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and it's going to be presented to our own Michael Heslin and a MESAC representative, and I will let you introduce the MESAC. I already asked you once today what that one is. Cybersecurity has become probably the highest priority of businesses and even the government, just to protect all of our resources. So I will read you a part of this. I won't read the whole proclamation, but just to give people an idea. The City of Temecula recognizes that it plays a vital role in identifying, protecting its citizens from, and responding to cybersecurity threats that may have significant impact to our individual and collective safety, privacy. Critical infrastructure, i.e. financial services, educational institutions, energy, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and emergency response systems are increasingly reliant on the support of information systems and technology. Cybersecurity education and awareness is crucial for everyone, including large corporations, small businesses, financial institutions, schools, government agencies, and the home user, and anyone who connects to the internet, be it with a computer, mobile phone, or other internet-connected device. Whereas monitoring your accounts, being conscientious of what you share online, keeping computer software up to date, creating unique passwords and changing them regularly, installing antivirus programs and firewalls, and using mobile devices and other internet-connect devices safely are ways people and organizations can protect themselves from phishing, viruses, ransomware, and other types of malware, financial loss, and loss of sensitive data. We showcase the need to inspire, engage, and inform the public about the demand, opportunities, and career options available within the area of cybersecurity, and highlight how building the nation's and the City of Temecula's cybersecurity workforce enhances the nation's security and promotes economic prosperity. We are dedicated to providing every individual and public and private organization in the City of Temecula the resources necessary to ensure the understanding, implementation, and success of Cybersecurity Awareness Month to help the citizens stay safe online and connect with confidence. Whereas the Stop, Think, Connect campaign serves as the national cybersecurity public awareness campaign implemented through a coalition of private companies, nonprofit, government organizations, and academic institutions working together to increase the public's understanding of cyber threats and empowering Americans to be safer and more secure online. Maintaining the security of a cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role to play, and awareness of essential cyber hygiene will improve the security of the City of Temecula's information and economy. And Mary Ann will not use the word password anymore as her password. I, Mary Ann Edwards, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Temecula, hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 to be National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And congratulations, Michael. So we're going to have a little bit more information about our own IT department, and they do a fabulous, fabulous job in a very, very difficult and ever-changing environment. So introduce your guest and give us a little overview.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, City Council for bringing awareness to the public about Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And internally at the city, the executive team, the departments, the city staff that all partner with IT to make cyber defenses more defensible.
Yeah.
I just want to say that your entire IT and support services team works hard to bolster the defenses of our system and protect our city information and communication systems. And just, again, you read a couple of them, but just a few simple steps can help keep you and your data safe online. Limit the amount of personal data you share online, update your devices and software, use complex passwords and multi-factor authentication, and those are just a few simple things that you can do to help keep yourself safe online. So we just want to say to everybody, do your part, be cyber smart, and with that, I'm going to bring up Mitch Cochran. He is MISAC, Municipal Information Systems Association, California. He's the chair of the awards committee, and he's going to be presenting us with an award, I believe. And I'm also going to ask the entire IT team and support services that's here, as well as we have some at-home viewers from our team.
And it's just, I cannot begin to tell you what a huge job this is. And these guys do a fantastic job. Or, you know, we couldn't do anything. Really, everything depends on our ability to communicate. So welcome to Temecula. I love your tie, by the way.
Thank you. Oh, good evening, Mayor, council members, staff. My name is Mitch Cochran, and the last time I was here, I was presenting in the old building.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
gorgeous to be here and see the new facility, and it is definitely one to really be proud of the things that you've done, and the teams and people that put it all together, because there's a lot of work to put that together. The Municipal Information Systems Association California is a statewide organization with membership exceeding 1,100 information technology professionals representing over 400 cities just in the state and special districts. The association was founded in 1980 to promote more effective and efficient municipal government through cooperation among municipal IS professionals with 4 pillars of education, member resources, relationships, and advocacy. So tonight we're here for the Excellence in IT Practices program. This is one of our resources. This program is 20 years old, and I've been with it since the beginning. Notice the gray hair. Certification program, it really fosters and recognizes outstanding governance. And we want to recognize the organizations that are going above and beyond and really growing the things, not just meeting the standards, but really growing them. And it requires the submission of a detailed questionnaire, and it's very similar to the CAFR report for those that are used to the finance side, but these are all not yes, no, these are all prove it. And you have a director, or you have a board of 3 directors look through it, and just as important as the submission, because the submission is able to build a document. Some cities have used the submission to justify additional resources and things, and a lot of times we just give it to the auditor because it has more info than the auditor wants, type of thing. So it's an incredible document, and you get feedback from 3 different IT directors from levels. So the feedback is just as important as the recognition. And we kind of work through the project, or the recognition is over strategic planning and budget, purchasing, operations staffing, customer performance measurement, internet, technology project management, professional development and training, disaster preparation and recovery, security controls, audit, compliance, regulatory, and GIS. And the Temecula application, I believe, was 690 pages. I mean, it's an amazing document that they put together. The criteria is updated every year to meet and incorporate the new standards. As the first Now that we have 100-something questions, the very first one was, I think, 60-something questions. So those, let's see, so then on behalf of MISAC and the Municipal Information Systems Association of California, it's my pleasure to recognize Mclaughlin, an Information Technology Director I've known for years, and his staff, incredible staff, to present the city with the MISAC Award for Achievement in IT Practices.
Thank you. Over 600 pages.
Electronic pages, yeah, we don't print hard copies.
Oh, my gosh.
I do want to thank Mitch for coming out. I appreciate him. He actually travels all over the state presenting these awards. My thank you to MISAC for putting this program together. As Mitch mentioned, that it's valuable feedback that we do receive back on how to strengthen our defenses and our practices. And this team, you know, this is your information technology and support services team. They are the finest and the brightest individuals I've ever had the honor of working with, and just couldn't be more proud of the work they do every day. And again, we're grateful and honored to receive this award.
Thank you, Michael. They are there for us 24 hours a day. Paula and I have talked at 3 o'clock in the morning, and anytime you need anything, and it covers so many disciplines, including, Jonathan got his pilot's license so he could do the drone, fly the drone. I mean, it's just incredible. The complexity of what you all do, and seriously, we couldn't do it without you. Does anybody else want to, congratulate Michael? Or I was going to tell you, I was having this problem with my phone. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, so I came in on Friday to pick up a couple of things from my office and had the honor to walk around with Kevin, and we stopped in IT. And I can certainly attest that this is the finest group of folks working in the IT field. Very proud of the work you're doing, and just proud of the work you're doing for the city, right? Like that forward-facing stuff, whether it's Wi-Fi gardens, whether it's securing, our email servers and whatnot. But y'all are amazing, so I just appreciate you.
Yeah, Jess, anything?
Well, I think I kind of go along right with what Marianne was saying. As our Mayor Marianne Edwards, we had, you guys are always there, literally. How many times I've spoken to the two of you on several occasions just trying to get into my account and find something. So for the short time I've been here, the team has been very helpful at all points in time and very knowledgeable. So that really helps the city to be able to move forward and continue to strengthen itself, both as a security level and also in other ways as well. So thank you guys so much for all you do and keep up the great work.
Yeah, Stu?
Great job.
So Matt has your proclamation, and honestly, we can't thank you enough. This is a department that's often overlooked and should not be, because every other department and the residents depend on this department. So without IT, we couldn't really do anything. Communicate, calculate, plan, vision, nothing. Provide public documents to people. So, you are really the lifeline for us. So thank you all. And thank you for coming down. Do you get to stay or do you have to go home?
I have to go home.
Oh, too bad.
Two big black Labradors.
Oh, well, we understand. So thank you for coming and recognizing the hard work of this very wonderful, wonderful department. We love you all, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next proclamation, and Juan, you're going to be up there for a few minutes, actually. This is going to Juan Carlos Duran. It's a proclamation for National Manufacturing Month, and he is on the board of the Manufacturers Council, Southwest Riverside County, and has been for as long as I can remember. And not only that, he is a willing volunteer and gives of his time and expertise, actually in marketing, but he knows everything there is to know about the world of manufacturing and how it applies across the very different disciplines. So this says, whereas the City Council of the City of Temecula recognizes the Southwest California Manufacturing Council for their efforts in providing a forum of collaboration and best practices between the local manufacturing community, and whereas the manufacturing industry is a critical component to Temecula's ecosystem, currently a total of 292 manufacturing companies called Temecula Home. These companies employ over 6,780 people, and whereas in 2021, the average manufacturing worker in California earned $88,406, annually, including pay and benefits, compared to the average worker in other industries who earned $71,390. And whereas, taken alone, manufacturing in the United States would be the 8th largest economy in the world, with $2.27 trillion in value added from manufacturing in 2019, only 7 other nations, including the United States, would rank higher in terms of their gross domestic product. And that's compared to manufacturing, not compared to the country. It's manufacturing. Manufacturers in the United States perform 57.9% of all private sector research and development. In the nation, driving more innovation than any other sector, research and development in the manufacturing sector has risen from $132 billion in 2000 to 295. So it's 132 to $295 billion in 2020. According to the National Association of Manufacturers, for every $1 spent in manufacturing, another $2.79 is added to the economy, the highest multiplier effect of any economic sector. So I, Marianne Edwards, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Temecula, hereby proclaim October 2021 to be National Manufacturing Month. And thank you, Juan Carlos, for being here and for giving so much of your time to this wonderful collaboration and to our community. So, and you're with Christine Damkle.
Yes.
Yes, before I let Juan go, the purpose of Manufacturing Month is to really expose the reality of modern manufacturing and the skilled careers that go along with this sector. The stats that you described, Mayor, are really quite amazing. And so here in Temecula, nearly 12% of our workforce, that's nearly 7,000 jobs, are from the manufacturing sector. We have over 290 manufacturing businesses. So it is an important sector here in Temecula, and Juan here represents one of them. So I'll let him introduce himself and his company.
Juan Carlos from Optiforms, come on down.
Thank you, everyone. I'm very honored to accept this award. It's certainly not just on behalf of Optiforms, but every manufacturing company here in the Valley. We're very appreciative of the opportunity just to be here. I am from Optiforms. I'm a marketing specialist with the company. I've been with them for 5 years and have been blessed to see the company flourish in my time with them. They've, like many of the companies here in the Valley, have been able to grow. Even despite the situation in the last couple of years, we've seen double-digit growth, though, in the last few years. Really, it's really a testament to the leadership of our company. By the way, Optiforms was established in 1984. We make custom components, metal components for medical devices, military applications, a range of other industries, but they're high-precision products using an additive manufacturing process called electroforming. It's much like a plating process, but it's a highly specialized, high-precision process. So we're one of very few companies that do that in California, and we're very lucky to be in an area that's very thoughtful and supportive. So that's a big deal for us. We're very appreciative of that. I'm also the co-chair of the Southwest California Manufacturing Council. We've been in existence for since 2013, is it? 12. Thank you. Thanks to our previous president of Chamber of Commerce, Alice Sullivan, helped form that group, and over the years have grown that. Certainly not all 290 companies are part of that, but several dozen of us have come together with hopes of being able to grow manufacturing here in the Valley. So this is, we've looked to create more, it's not just about the collaboration between our companies, but also looking to build partnerships with the school district in hopes of building a more enriching program for young people to find a pipeline into manufacturing companies here in the Valley.
That would be career technical education.
Yes, yes, it is, and it's working very well. We're seeing a lot of progress, and it's wonderful to see that this is really going to continue with the support of the city and the school district. So we're extremely excited with what's going to happen coming up.
So thank you, Juan. It's a huge impact to the city of Temecula, and most people don't realize how many manufacturers we have. and the diversity of those manufacturers. So they do collaborate really well. They work amongst each other. They try and buy and sell, amongst themselves to keep those dollars here. And through COVID, I know a lot of them managed to hold on to their employees, to ensure that they were well taken care of. So thank you to the Manufacturers Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you're going to be up here again.
Okay.
So, you want to stay or you want to sit down?
Whichever.
Well, I'm going to get to it right now, so you may as well stay there.
Okay.
This is very special. Along the lines that were just discussed, a very well-known and beloved Bob Scheer is going to be retiring, and he is as long as I can remember, very active in the Manufacturers Council. And this is a certificate of recognition for him. So, the City of Temecula is proud to recognize Bob Scheer for his leadership, dedication, and positive impact, and thank you for coming up. I should have called you up. Made in Temecula's manufacturing sector. As the general manager of Tension Envelope for nearly 17 years, Bob was responsible for operations within the second largest envelope manufacturer in the country. Understanding the importance of civic engagement, Bob served as the co-chair of the Southwest Riverside County Manufacturers Council since January 2016. It was on the SCMC where Bob was instrumental in creating an enhanced network within the manufacturing sector. He worked to expand the alliance between the manufacturing community and the Temecula Valley, including fostering a partnership with the Temecula Valley Unified School District to create opportunities for graduating high school students who were not necessarily college-bound. Bob worked diligently to drive growth and collaboration within the local manufacturing community. We truly appreciate his service to the community and wish him all the best in retirement. And I had the opportunity to work with you as you, made this bond with the Temecula Valley Unified School District, and our students will benefit because of it through internships and workforce experience through the manufacturers. So don't go.
Sorry, but it's too late.
Yeah, I know. But thank you for everything. And Mayor Pro Tem Ron will bring you this as you
Okay.
go ahead and.
Well, I'd just like to say a couple of things. First of all, I want to recognize a couple of people who are with me this evening. My wife, Rhonda. Today is our 41st wedding anniversary.
Oh,
We chose to spend it with you.
congratulations.
My accounting supervisor from Tension, Kay Siebold, is back there. Kay's dad, Les Adam, was one of the first movers behind cityhood for the city of Temecula.
Yes.
So I always appreciate the relationship between Kay and the city. And then Twyla Leonard, who's our shop steward at Tension Envelope. I'm glad they were able to join us. I was going to say that manufacturing is the best kept secret in town, but
Yeah.
you did a great job of letting everybody know just how important manufacturing is. One of our members said not too long ago that the city ought to put up a sign on the other side of the building here saying that there's great jobs right here in the city of Temecula with all those people heading south every day and sitting in traffic. There's great jobs that are right here in the city of Temecula. And one of the things that you've already alluded to is our partnership with the school district. And how that came about is that we were sitting around in my conference room, in fact, I think it was around 2014. We had just had one of our meetings. We had just enjoyed a great lunch from Vince's. And we were all talking about the fact that we're having a difficult time finding good people. And this is 2014. Imagine what it is today. And so we decided that there were good jobs that we were looking for people for. And a lot of these jobs were in the manufacturing sector, which means they didn't require a college education. And it dawned on us that as you go to the mall and you see these kids hanging out, or you'd hear stories about the kids going someplace else after they graduate, that we had an obligation to the community to let them know what we were all about. And so that is really what started the partnership between the Southwest California Manufacturing Council and the school district, which has been a fabulous partnership between internships and tours and other programs that we've done. We really have affected a lot of lives. Unfortunately, the past couple of years we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm sure we'll get back to doing that. The other thing about manufacturing here in Temecula that's also a secret, a well-kept secret, is the fact that it's decidedly high-tech. Now, my business making envelopes was not so high-tech. But as Juan talked about and as other people have mentioned, there are some world-class products that are made right here in Temecula. And certainly some well-paying jobs that are available to our kids and to those who are looking for work who don't necessarily have a college education. So that's really a great thing that the manufacturing community should be proud of and the city should be proud of. In mentioning the city, our relationship with the city through Christine and through you, Mayor Edwards, and Councilman Stewart, the partnership that we've had with you has just been outstanding. As a business person, as a business leader, anytime I needed anything from the city, I would call Christine. She was always there. Alice, earlier on, and then now with Brooke taking over the Chamber of Commerce, just a fabulous connection. This is a great place to do business. Temecula is a great place to do business as a manufacturer, and it's a well-kept secret that I think people should know a lot more about. On a personal note, I also want to thank everybody that I worked with at Tension Envelope. We had a great run here for 25 years. Really enjoyed our relationship with the city and the contribution that we made to the city, and look forward to great things in the future. Thank you very much.
While you're lining up for pictures, you have to turn around in a minute and tell me what you plan on doing, because I live vicariously through other people's vacations and retirement, so. So any plans, Bob?
Yeah. We're going to travel as soon as we can travel, and we're going to see the world and relax a little bit. In fact, we're leaving on Friday for Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Celebrate.
Very
This
nice.
is the 1-year anniversary of our 40th anniversary celebration, which we didn't get to do last year. But I'm doing some consulting and doing some other things to keep busy.
Then let me knight you as an ambassador for Temecula, so you may speak positively about Temecula and all the wonderful things here everywhere you go.
Well, you didn't ask me about wine. I'm the biggest ambassador for Temecula wine.
There
so.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. So, keep talking.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Juan, thank you for everything. Okay, we have our board and commission reports, but Mayor Pro Tem Ron has just handed me a note, so I don't want to forget. So we have students here, and I see Chaparral students, because I see a C jacket. So who's here from Chaparral? Wow, a lot. Anybody from Great Oak? Oh, TV? Chaparral, you rock tonight. You've got the house. So we love it when you come, and we hope you enjoy the city council meetings. Sometimes they can seem boring, but if you would come every other Tuesday, like we do this, second and fourth, you'd catch it on, within a year or two. So, we'd love to have you come back as often as you want to. You'll be leaving at 8 o'clock, I presume. Yes, everybody's nodding their heads. Okay, so we're glad to have you here. And thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ron, for the note. So now we're going to move on to our board and commission reports. So let's start with Eric Levine. Hi, Eric, Community Service.
Hello and good evening. Tonight I will be talking about our Halloween Carnival. So you may have heard that the annual Halloween Carnival is moving to a new location. It's now in Old Town, and it's happening just over 2 weeks from now on Friday, October 29th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. In addition to our usual games and activities, the costume contest remains a highlight, and your community services commissioners are looking forward to participating as judges, typically dressed up. There are 5 age groups and 4 categories for individuals to enter, and also want to offer special thanks to one of our sponsors, Chick-fil-A, for donating gift cards for the costume contest prizes. And that concludes my report.
I love Princess Leia's hair in that picture, darling. So thank you. And now, Ross, we're going to move on to the Old Town Local Review Board.
Good evening. Not much to say today. We didn't have a meeting this month, so there really is nothing to report for the Old Town Local Review Board at this time.
So everybody's doing well
Everybody's doing well.
and on top of everything.
Sure.
Okay, great, okay. All right, then, we have the Board, Planning Commission, Gary Watts, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Madam Mayor. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Planning Commission met last week and accomplished the following. We made a finding of consistency with the general plan for an amendment to fiscal year 22-23 capital improvement program to add one new project titled the Traffic Signal Promenade Mall Ring Road. So you can see on the map there, it's the one intersection, I believe, there that doesn't have a stop control. So that was voted 4-0 to make that consistency finding, and I think that will come before you folks soon. The next items we approved were 4 industrial buildings located in an industrial park on the south side of Avenida Alvarado, approximately 1,200 feet west of Terra Alta Way. These are 4 large industrial buildings, and from what we understand, they are in peak demand here in Temecula. Yeah. So it's great to see them go up. The designs were fantastic. Colors were great. We didn't have any problem with that this time. And those items were all approved on a 4-0 vote.
Great.
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So we have our public safety report, and this evening we have Battalion Chief Dan Olson here. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good evening, Madam Mayor.
You got a good report for us?
I hope so. So I'm going to give you a quick snapshot of essentially an overview for service calls for the month of September. So we have the slide up. Yep. As you can see, we ran a total of 871 calls in the city. Of those, 632 were medical emergencies, 73 were vehicle traffic collisions, and 12 were fire incidents where our crews took suppressive actions, such as commercial, residential, vehicle, and vegetation fires. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you can see there's a host of other calls that they were called upon for various emergencies for service as well. Compared to the previous month, we did see a slight decrease in the emergency incidents within the city by 38 calls. With that, next slide, please. In regards to our prevention planning and inspections, 432 plans reviews were conducted, 439 construction inspections were completed, and a total of 505 annual inspections were performed. With that, that concludes our report and recap for the month of September.
So you're busy, very busy. And I know we're going to report at the State of the City that more permits and inspections were done during the COVID shutdown than under normal conditions. City Hall was not closed because we were working virtually and working very hard. So thank you. And businesses took advantage of that time to do renovations or repairs or get up to speed to get up to compliance. And so it was very important that they work closely with fire. And boy, they really cranked out those inspections. So thank you very much for all you do. We love our first responders.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, so public comments, anything?
Yes, we do.
All right. So a total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the City Council on matters not listed on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the city clerk or deputy city clerk, or by submitting an email to be read aloud into the record at the meeting. Email comments must be submitted to councilcomments@temeculaca.gov. Speaker cards for in-person comments will be called in the order received by the city clerk or deputy city clerk, and then, if time remains, email comments will be read. Email comments on all matters must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments. All public participation is governed by the council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. So could we have our first speaker, please?
Yes, the first speaker on non-agendized items is Bob Cowell, to be followed by Slim Killens.
Mr. Cowell, good evening.
Hello. I'd like to start out with "Let's Go Brandon." Does anybody know what that means? Let's go, Brandon. Anyway, I thought that might be funny. Maybe it isn't. Anyway, I wake up every day and wonder what's going on with our country, and it can't be by accident. It has to be, if it's by accident, there's too many coincidences in a row. How can our border be so bad that we have tens of thousands of people coming across that we can't vet? They're taken by plane and sent all over the country. How can, with drugs being brought into the country, fentanyl poisoning our youth, human trafficking out of control, all these things are being done with this administration. The other day I woke up and I saw that they expanded the perimeter of who they're going to arrest on January 6th from those who went inside the Capitol to those who were even near the Capitol. So I was near the Capitol, so I might be arrested. So I might be in one of those dungeons with the 60 other people that don't have habeas corpus. What kind of a government does that? What kind? Not a good government, a bad government. You look at all the ships that are on our harbors right now, that are not unloaded. Why? You could call it COVID, or you could call it the mishandling of what happened with COVID. Our country is at a brink. I look at it every day and wonder, it's 1 minute to midnight. When is the end coming? To me, it's coming soon. I cry when I see all this stuff. It hurts me. So they hide the truth, and they call the truth dangerous. They take away our police force and call it equity. They try to take away our means to protect ourselves and say it is for our own safety. Never give in. Do not submit to these frauds in politics and media. They don't speak for me. They don't speak for many of us. We must always resist, and we must never comply. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
The next speaker is Slim Killens, followed by Eileen Abhijan.
Good evening, Mr. Kellens. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am, and the council members and members on the board. I am a social justice warrior, and I fight for moral absolutes and integrity. And I'm going to continue to fight this. I know some people may take offense, but because I have a constitutional right to speak publicly, I will continue to speak. And I will always speak to defend what's right and what's true. I believe in moral absolutes. I believe in objective truth. And I am willing to lay my life down to defend those things. So I'm asking myself, I am called a domestic terrorist. Now, I wear that badge proudly, because if standing for and defending the First Amendment right makes me a domestic terrorist, I'll accept it wholeheartedly. I am proud to be a domestic terrorist. And if the FBI want to come after me, you come on, baby, you come on. Why are people that are obeying the law called criminals, and the people that are breaking the law being supported by leaders from the presidency on down? Our school system are lying to our children. Where are the people? When they did that in Nazi Germany, yeah, you don't want a sermon, I know, it's all good. When they did that in Nazi Germany, they said we're obeying the law. But the law was a lie. Now we have educated people, people on the board, people in the Oval Office that are lying to people. I'm sitting next to a black man right there, and he hates me. They're teaching that to our kids. Why don't people stand up and say anything about it? Do you love your jobs and money more than the truth? Now, in the past, the KKK, I'm going to bring it up all the time, the KKK said that white people were superior to black people. Now you got white people saying white people are privileged. How many of you on this board are privileged? There's a lot of white folks on this board. Oh no, I changed the definition of time. Yes, I mean, because boys can be girls, right? Transgender, they're teaching this to our kids, and you're going to tell me I have 3 minutes? Well, I've redefined 3 minutes to 10 minutes.
Now you got 0 minutes.
No, that's your definition.
Sorry.
And no, there's no such thing as absolute truth, right?
I understand the point you're making,
No,
yes.
I'm going to respect you because I'm not whacked out like some folks. But I'm kind of wondering, how could educated people teach nonsense? And I'm mad because you're teaching it to our children. Leave our children alone.
Thank you.
Okay. The next speaker is Eileen Abhijan, followed by Jim Mclaughlin.
Eileen, good evening. You can give city clerk. Thank you. You need to pull that microphone way down. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Well, hello. First off, I would like to thank you each for your time and the opportunity to speak in front of you all. My name is Eileen Abhijan, and I am here as an ambassador for the Borgen Project. We are a nonprofit national organization that focuses on bringing citizens together to make positive impacts worldwide. So our main objective is to fight global poverty, and I think that with so many issues happening worldwide right now, one of the most important things we can do is help. As a Temecula resident, I have personally seen how much our city has grown. I know I haven't been here for very long, but I've definitely seen a lot of improvements. Global hunger rates have been cut in half over the past 20 years, and as more consumers have risen worldwide, it has helped open new markets for many cities, Temecula being one of them. Reducing global poverty is in our nation's best interest because at the end of the day, it's an investment. As a developed country, we can lend a hand to the underdeveloped countries, and together we can create thousands of opportunities. So mobilizing people to contact Congress is a key part of my job. We advocate for those who don't have a voice, and we work to make poverty a focus of U.S. foreign policy. Many Americans aren't aware, but less than 1% of the federal budget goes to assisting the world's poor. I think it's extremely important to build awareness on global issues. Many people aren't informed, and that's exactly what the Borgen Project is all about. To educate people and show them that regardless of where they live, they can make a huge difference by taking action. On the Borgen Project website, you can click on the Act Now section, and it will take you to the email or call option. Some of the bills mentioned in this section are the Protect Afghan Women and Girls Act, Protect Funding for the International Affairs Budget, the Support Keeping Girls in School Act, and the COVAX Initiative Act, just to name a few. I believe that making a difference starts with just one person, and then it can become a domino effect. I'd like to ask the Temecula City Council to send a letter to Senator Padilla, Senator Feinstein, and Representative Calvert, letting them know that the council views global development programs as crucial for creating more consumers globally. Thank you so much for your time. If anyone has further questions, they can contact me at my email or phone number, and I have a couple of business cards, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen.
The next speaker is Jim Mclaughlin, to be followed by Bob Quaid.
Jim Mclaughlin, long time no see. How are you?
Hi, thank you. Good to see you. It's good to be with you all. Thank you. My name is Jim Mclaughlin, and among other things, I organize Tedx Temecula, which is a locally organized TED conference. We held our 10th annual event on September 25th, just a couple of weeks ago, at the Old Town Temecula Community Theater. And even though we limited the size of the audience to make people feel safe, it was a tremendous success. And I want to thank city staff and elected officials for not only supporting the event over the years, but embracing it. We're a nonprofit, and we're all volunteers on the project, so it's very important to us. It wouldn't work if we didn't have the support of the city and the businesses in town and the citizens of Temecula and the surrounding regions. I also want to acknowledge the theater staff, Bill Strawn and Neil and John and Liz and Charisse, for being so great to work with over there. It just makes it that much better of an event. 10 years ago, I was a guy with an idea, what if we could have a TED event in our town? And I was relatively new here at the time and didn't know too many people. That seed was planted in the rich soil that this community is, and it's flourished beyond my wildest dreams. And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I remember when you came to the Murrieta Temecula group for the very first time, talking about TEDx, and I said, what? What? It was an interesting concept back then, and it has just flourished everywhere, all over the world. And you've gotten our students involved too, and so I love that. So thank you for doing that and for everything that TEDx has done to enlighten us about any number of topics. Thank you. Thanks.
The next speaker is Bob Quaid, and then we have one email comment on non-agendized items.
Okay. Mr. Quaid, how are you?
Great, great. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. My name is Bob Quaid. I'm an 18-year resident of Temecula, and I am here tonight because I'm trying to follow up on a comment I made a few months back when the Ready Commission was being discussed, and they were charged with identifying unrepresented groups in our community, and I presented an unrepresented, forgotten members of our community that had not been discussed by the Ready Commission, and that was unborn children. And those children whose God-given lives had been taken from them due to abortion. In Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14, King David said, "You created my innermost being. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made." So with that being said, I'm proposing to the council a petition and this has been signed by over 70 members of residents of the city of Temecula that attend 3 local churches here in the community, have all joined together with me on this petition, and I'm going to read it to you. This is a petition to the city council to approve an aborted children memorial plaque in the duck pond. And let me go ahead and read this. As a resident of the city of Temecula, I lend my support to this petition requesting the city council to respect its declared Temecula Cares theme for 2021 and consider placement of a privately funded memorial to the children who have been aborted in our city. We request that this memorial be placed in a location at the Temecula Duck Pond that is equally visible to the public as the other memorials located around the pond. The design and the specifications of this memorial will be presented to the council for consideration during the last council meeting in October, which is recognized as Respect Life Month. So I would like to give these petitions, there's over 70 signatures here. I'd like to present this to the city clerk, and I'd like to ask one of the city council members to please join us in this effort and help sponsor this effort and get it on the city council for the next meeting. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bob.
We have no more in-person speakers, and we have one comment that is an emailed comment. And it is from Dana Kislates. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, City of Temecula, for issuing the Dyslexia Proclamation at the last meeting and everything that the city has done for the special needs community. James Stewart, you are a positive influence to many in Temecula. I will never forget 2 years ago when you presented me with the Dyslexia Proclamation during a city council meeting. You talked about your own struggles and accomplishments in front of the city council in public. The man sitting next to me told me he is dyslexic, and we talked afterwards. James Stewart, by being open, you are changing people's lives for the positive. I became a non-related legal guardian to a black student when he was 16 years old. I wanted to change the cycle of poverty that he was born into and get him through college. I didn't know or understand he had a reading disability. Before living with me, he was pushed through TVUSD for years without any successful reading remediation program. I had to hire an attorney to help me. TVUSD hired their own lawyer using our tax dollars to sit in meetings for 1.4 years with the student. Students with individualized education plans have a legal agreement for their education that parents sign every year. General education students do not have legal agreements for their education. I will always recommend to a parent to hire a strong advocate who does not have any family members working at the district or a special education attorney. There are many advocates and attorneys who parents hire who are very knowledgeable with reading remediation. My focus is the inequity in education for low-income students of color. Parents who have the financial means hire an advocate or attorney. Low-income families cannot afford to pay for an advocate or attorney. There are many Black men in prison who have dyslexia and reading disabilities who did not have the parents' advocacy for their education. I am grateful for the Race, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Commission. I will be making public comments at their meetings about the lack of reading support for students with disabilities at TVUSD and the law firms who profit from students with disabilities. And Madam Mayor, that concludes all of the public comments on non-agendized items.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to city council reports. And I know that we have 3 council members who have slides, so I'm going to start with Stu first.
All right, I wanted to go first because the students are going to get ready to leave. But one of the most important tools you can learn is how to manage your money. And so tomorrow night and for the next 3 Wednesday nights from 5 until 7, over in the industrial park area, we're doing a financial literacy series, which basically will show you and give you tools to actually know how to handle your money, and so you don't end up constantly living from day to day, hand to mouth. We'll give you tools that you can actually move forward in life and be successful. So if you got the time, please take the time, because these tools are going to be very beneficial as your life starts after you leave school. So that's one thing. Also, since you guys are all still here, the manufacturers, I was honored to be on the Manufacturers Council for the first 3 years I was on city council, right before COVID. And they are desperate for help in our manufacturing community. Yeah. So, and a lot of these jobs are good paying jobs. It's not like you're working at Target. I mean, and these all have career trajectories. So you're going to get into something that you can move forward and, stay local. You drive across the freeway and you're at work. And so for all of you who aren't going to go to college or think, I'm not really cut out for that, I was one. But think about that. Think about going to these manufacturers and say, hey, look, I'd like to apply. I want to see what a career looks like in manufacturing. Because like they said, I was blown away. I mean, I literally came on city council not knowing we had that many manufacturers in town and the cool things they manufactured. I mean, it really is kind of mind-blowing when you get over there and you start talking to these manufacturers. And some manufacturers, 5 people. And then there's 700 people. So there's a wide variety of manufacturers we have right here in town. And like I said, they pay really good. You start off kind of not making a great paycheck, but you progress really fast. The more you learn, the more you make. And so consider that. If you're not that college-bound kid, consider the manufacturers right here in town. And like I said, if you're living at home, you can make some good life choices by going to a manufacturer right here in town.
The city of Temecula would like to apologize to the Target Corporation.
Right.
We know that they have really good jobs
Right.
too, so
They
thank
do
you very
too,
much. Thank you. Okay, so Jessica, I have you next.
Okay. All right, got the slides. Wonderful. Well, there's just 4 pictures here. There's 2 obviously here. So I got a chance to go out once again with the hot team, swag team, which was really incredible. So one of the reasons I took this picture on the top left, I think it's left for everybody, yeah, left picture, is that is actually somebody living in a tree. So I just want to say these people are very creative where they live. That was kind of mind-blowing to me a little bit. So, and then there's just several people that are going out onto these, just heading out there really looking for just people who are living in these encampments and really caring. If we can go to the next slide as well. So just one of the biggest things that really touched my heart while I was out there, if again we look to the left, we just see two of the people from the swag team here just sitting with a homeless woman in the middle of the woods. Like, I don't know if you want to call it woods, but the desert, whatever. They literally sat with her for 30 minutes, just taking her information, caring for her, finding out how they can help, not just blowing her off or just trying to get her off the street. They actually sat there at almost maybe 45 minutes. So it's incredible how these teams work together to be able to really be able to connect, care for, and take the time to work with these individuals to get them to a safe environment that actually cares and that can get them to either a home or a facility that can get them the help that they need. That being said, the other thing I really absolutely loved while I was out there, if you can go back one more time to that slide. The other slide we get to see our HOT team and also EMS being able to work on this one lady who actually they thought she had MRSA. So you could just imagine, all they're working with, and I just want to thank them for, the times that they had out there and the people and individuals that they're having to deal with, because that's it's a hard job for everybody. So I just want to reach out and say thank you to them because they're incredible. But some of the things I want to tell you wasn't just what I've seen, but I got some great ideas for when I go out onto the street with everybody. Some of the things that I'm going to be bringing up to the city council and our staff is I have some more public safety ideas that can possibly save some money, which I think everybody loves to save money, and just be able to get maybe a responses back and forth from the jail to from here to the jails a little bit quicker. So I'd like to be able to bring that up eventually. It's going to be pushed through. And also, there's a couple ideas after speaking to these individuals as other ways that we're going to be able to get possibly even more people off of our streets, which obviously we know for Temecula that is really important, and just for everybody for their heart. So I just thank the HOT team, the SWAG team, the first responders for all their time and knowledge. So that was my report.
Thank you, Jess. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Zach Schwenk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also have a couple slides. So first, I want to just give a big shout out to Public Works and all the work that they're doing on our transit stops and RTA's transit stops. And this is something that Pat and his team came up with as a way to sort of bring these into a more modern aesthetic. They used to be tan and needed a lot of care. So if you've seen them out working, give them a high five as they go by. Yeah, so we're out of the 80s and we're into the 2020s now. So it looks really great, and they've cleaned them all up and pressure washed them and really done a great job. So I just really wanted to bring this up to say thank you to staff for doing that. Next slide, please. All right, this is really great work here by staff. Really want to give a huge thank you to Stacy Brown and the rest of the city manager's office for working on this. This is a fully electric, we'll call it the Silver Shuttle.
Yeah.
We're using this over at the Mary Phillips Senior Center for our seniors and our special needs programming that we do. And this is one of those times where being engaged regionally paid off. So I was at a regional board meeting and listening to an AQMD presentation. And, there's a VW mitigation trust. Mm-hmm. I text Aaron and said, hey, I think there's some opportunities here. And this is the end product of that. Nearly fully funded through a grant through the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust. So really excited to see this. And I think I need to get my Class B driver's license because I really want to take this for a spin. I was over at the FOC today looking at it. It's wheelchair accessible, huge ramp in the back. Again, fully electric, state-of-the-art. Really proud of the team for making this happen. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Zach. That's a wonderful referral for the city. Yeah, it's a beautiful vehicle. I've seen it. I wonder if we could take a ride sometime.
Yeah, well, once I get my Class B, I'll swing by everyone's house and
All right.
We'll go to Pechanga.
Let's go.
All right.
No, what?
All right, one more slide, really quickly. Okay, so I really want to highlight the Adopt a Park program. Our family through Temecula Bike Train has adopted this section of the Santa Gratuitous Creek Path, which is behind Chaparral High School. So this is Winchester to Margarita. I was out there on Saturday picking up trash, and I really wanted to highlight this to really promote the program. There are many more creek sections, path sections that need attention. Mm-hmm. And then also just really, is there a way that we can, sort of get out in the community more. Commissions, maybe there's a commission project here, maybe there's a council project
I'm
here.
actually going to talk about that next.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So,
excited.
no, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
excited. And really, there's a lot of work to be done, and it really just happens when we put our gloves on and make it happen. So again, go to the city's website, temeculaca.gov/adopt-a-park, and maybe this is something your family wants to do or Chaparral High School wants to do before you leave. We'll get you to sign up. All right, other than that, appreciate it. Thank you.
You should be wearing gloves.
Well, I was when I was picking it up, but for the photo, I need my
Okay,
fingers to
just
take the
checking.
picture. Yeah.
All right, wear gloves, might want to wear your mask, put your sunscreen on. All right, I'll stop now. So following right along those lines, as part of our, unifying the community, getting people involved, across all, the entire community, I was talking to city manager today, and we have noticed, and you probably have too, that there are some areas of town, Temecula is an immaculate city. It's very, very, very clean, and, the city has people who pick up trash and just neaten things up just as part of their daily duties. So, but of late, and especially since COVID, I've noticed that there's some trash has started to accumulate, in the bushes along some of our streets, and this is especially true along the freeway. Now, the city of Temecula does not control the freeway. It's Caltrans, and to do anything along the freeway, you have to get permission. And we are working with Pechanga and Caltrans on beautification project for all of our off-ramps, so that'll take place next year. We'll start on that project next year. But in the meantime, I would like to see if we could put together a community cleanup day, just where people within their own neighborhoods or close to their own neighborhoods, I don't know how we'll organize it yet, but get together for a certain amount of time on a Saturday, and everybody focuses on just picking up trash, and then the city can take care of making sure that they can deposit the trash bags someplace, and the city will make sure that they're picked up. I know that CR&R, our waste hauler, would be more than happy to participate or provide bags, or they're very good to, do those kinds of projects. So if, Mr. City Manager, if you and I could continue to work on that, I'd like to, see what we can do about a community cleanup day. I see you nodding, not talking with your mask, but yes. So thank you. Okay, so we're on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the City Council request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. A total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the City Council on items that appear on the consent calendar. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the city clerk or deputy city clerk, or by submitting an email to be read aloud into the record at the meeting. Email comments must be submitted to councilcomments@temeculaca.gov. Speaker cards for in-person comments will be called in the order received by the city clerk or deputy city clerk, and then, if time remains, email comments will be read. Email comments on all matters must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments. All public participation is governed by the council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. So we have item number 1.
Madam Mayor, we do actually.
We do, all
yes.
right.
We do have public comments on agendized items. We have one in-person public comment on item number 3 from Jessica Christopher.
Okay. Number 3.
Jessica?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, it's still a consent calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I speak on 4 and 9 or just 4?
No, this is for consent calendar, so only 4.
Only 4. Thank you.
And you'll come back for 9.
Okay. Mayor Edwards, City Council members, regarding item number 4, I was shocked when I watched the last meeting when my elected representative and one other was ignored while questioning ordinance number 2021-1 2020-04. You may have been working on it for 2 years, but I found out about it during the replay of that meeting. I know you say it can be changed anytime, so let's get going with that, because the city clerk has been manipulating who gets to speak and when. It used to be that the city clerk took the stack, flipped it over, numbered them, who came first, and then separated them by the agenda item. Then put those in order of who submitted first. This was done in front of all. This needs to be in the ordinance, which it is not. My second concern was watching the city clerk make decisions our elected officials were elected to make. I watched 4 emails read, request that the city council have the Ready Commission draw the redistricting lines. Then the city clerk said, okay, I'll put that in the minutes and the Ready Commission will oversee the drawing of the lines. You didn't vote on that. She just decided that's what you were doing. I'm not okay with that. I want the Ready Commission, I don't want the Ready Commission in charge of drawing those lines. I do not. I want the elected officials to vote on the stuff and not have the clerk decide what we're gonna do. And I got a little bit of a clue that that's how we got the Ready Commission too. My other concern, since I got a little bit of time, I spoke to a nurse today, or the nurse last week of the Temecula Valley Hospital. That nurse is leaving. She's leaving this state along with probably a whole bunch of others because of the hospital here is not treating the patients who didn't get the jab the same as the ones who did. They're not reporting the side effects. And I know personally 5 people with serious side effects from that vaccination. I know 20 plus who got it and still got COVID. We're losing hospital workers because you're doing nothing.
Next speaker, anything, Randy?
We do have one email comment on item number 7.
Okay.
And it is from Ms. Miller.
Okay.
Track map number 37509 has been approved for subdivision purposes to create 111 single-family lots, 31 condominium lots, and 9 open space lots on 27.86 acres for Heirloom Farms. The property is located at the southwest corner of Date Street and Inez Road. Absolutely disapprove of any more buildings, especially those that have cars which are traffic generators attached to them. This tract map approval needs to be reversed. Temecula is contributing so graphically to the deterioration of the quality of the air, the water, the soil, and the amount of rain. This overdevelopment is increasing heat, wind, transportation fumes, and decreasing quality education, after-school programs, visual aesthetics of open land, ability to know neighbors. We don't need more people ordering from foreign nations, which causes insane building of warehouses and goods transported by trucks all through neighborhoods, making noise and polluting if they aren't electric. It's causing more swamp stores with fender bender and worse car accidents. This is inhumane, and the people of Temecula need to stand up and face off these elected destructors and elect some people that care about the people and will actually organize progressive projects like their section of the monorail up I-15 and I-215, plus giving people electric cars if they can't find jobs in Temecula yet. So we completely disapprove of tract map 37509 and implore upon you to reverse this detrimental approval for the sake of wildlife, children, vegetation, weather, before something as bad as the oil spill happens out here. Do you not get it? All our systems are undulated with too many people in California, ordering for massive vain decorations, non-essential unnecessities for heathen holidays, and endangering our harbors, our oceans, and our very existence. We must think locally, and what another pile of houses will do due to our seriously impacted resources. California burned down again, and more than likely worse next year, because you are allowing more stick-built housing that disseminates the forest. This is barely any old-growth forest left. These last series of fires burned the last of old-growth redwood, and it is time to stop. What are you afraid of? That you might not be invited to Hawaiian all-expense-paid vacation conventions paid for by developers? If you go on those again, this town will hear about it, and with the stroke of votes for you, stroke of the vote, you will be back in public venues. Madam Mayor, those are all the consent calendar comments.
Thank you. Then we can go ahead, I'll go ahead and read the items on the consent calendar, introduce them. Number 1, waive reading of standard ordinances and resolution. Number 2, approve action minutes of September 28th, 2021. Number 3, approve list of demands. Number 4, adopt ordinance 2021-04, amending Temecula Municipal Code Section 2.04.030 to prohibit conduct at city council and other public meetings that actually disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of meetings. And this is the second reading. Actually, I'm going to, after we finish this, before we take the vote, I'm going to ask for a little clarification of that one. Number 5, authorize a city sponsorship to support the Horsewomen of Temecula Wine Country and Temecula Valley's Horsemen's Association at the January 1st, 2022 Pasadena Tournament of Roses Parade at the request of subcommittee members Edwards and Councilmember Stewart. Number 6, amend the Capital Improvement Program, the CIP, for fiscal years 2022-26 to add the traffic signal Promenade Mall Ring Road project and approve the appropriation of Measure S funds. Number 7, approve track map 37509 located at the southwest corner of Date Street and Inez Road. And that's all. So before we get a motion in a second, could I have some clarification on Section D? And Brandy, are you going to do that, or is Peter going to do that?
I believe perhaps Councilmember Stewart had asked that Section D be read out loud.
Okay.
And we're happy to go ahead and read that
Okay,
out loud at
thank you.
Councilmember Stewart's request. Section D, unlawful behavior. The following conduct shall be unlawful. Number 1, engaging in behavior that actually disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of a city council meeting after receiving a warning at that meeting from the mayor or the presiding officer or a city council member. Number 2, refusing to leave the council chambers after being barred for the remainder of a city council meeting by the mayor or the presiding officer or a city council majority. Number 3, returning to the council chambers before the conclusion of a city council meeting after being barred for the remainder of that meeting by the mayor or the presiding officer or a city council majority. Councilmember Stewart, that was Section D.
Okay, are you good, Stu?
Yes. Well, and the reason why I wanted it read, because I think it's important for everybody who's going to hear this ordinance that the ramifications of the ordinance, because that was not exactly clear, I don't think, and so I just wanted to make sure it was read out loud so everybody knows exactly what could happen.
So we're talking about disruptive behavior that doesn't allow the council meeting to move forward. So, okay, so now that we've got that, I will accept a motion.
I'll move consent.
Okay.
Second.
And a second, so let's cast our vote.
Madam Mayor, quick question for you. If I'm going to be pulling out from one of them and saying nay on one of them, how am I going to do that on here?
Well, she can vote no. She can vote, there's a no choice on there.
Or if you would like to go ahead and vote no just on one.
That's what I'm saying.
You can verbally just let us know and we'll reflect that in the minutes.
Okay.
And that's what because my slide isn't working right now.
Yeah, neither's mine.
Councilmember Alexander, which
Okay.
is it that you would like to vote no on?
It's going to be voting no on 4, just again, going back to where we were as far as just the clarification.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, so now I've cast my vote. So we have a no on 4 and then aye on the remainders. Yes? Okay.
Yes, so we will make sure that the record reflects a unanimous vote on the consent calendar with the exception of number 4, which Councilmember Alexander will be voting no on.
thank you.
And thank you, Jess. I'm sorry I missed that. Okay, so I am going to recess the Temecula City Council meeting and hand the gavel over to Zach Swank, who's president of the Temecula Community Services District.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will call tonight's Temecula Community Services District meeting to order. Madam City Clerk, please note that we are all still here. Do we have any public comments this evening? Madam City Clerk?
We do not.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and dispense with the reading of those rules, and we'll move on to our consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the Community Services District request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. A total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the Board of Directors on items that appear on the consent calendar. Each member is limited to 3 minutes. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the city clerk or deputy city clerk, or by submitting an email to be read aloud in the recording at the meeting. Email comments must be submitted to councilcomments@temeculaca.gov. Speaker cards for in-person comments will be called in the order received by the city clerk or deputy city clerk, and then, if time remains, email comments will be read. Email comments on all matters must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments. All public participation is governed by the council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. We have one item tonight. Item number 8 is approve action minutes of September 28th, 2021.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let us vote.
Aye. Mine's broken.
Oh,
And it
so we
looks
have
like-
4 digital yes and 1 verbal yes, right?
Yes.
There we go. Thank you very
Okay.
much. That motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to our director's report. Director Russo, anything this evening?
Yes, indeed, Mr. President. If we can get that slide. We just wanted to talk tonight about our new series, the Skate Park Jams, starting this fall. They'll be coming up one a month. You can see the dates there, one in October, one in November, one in December, from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Temecula Skate Park. Each date features a different type of skate park jam. On the 23rd, it's the BMX Jam. The November 20th is the Skate Jam. And on December 11th, we have a Scooter Jam. The events will be filled with music, prizes, drawings, activities, giveaways, and refreshments. And we're doing all of this in partnership with a local action sports advocacy group, Neighborhood Drop-In, who've been really great about working with us to expand access to and awareness of what our skate park offers. So that's all for me this evening.
Love it. Thank you very much. General Manager, anything this evening?
Nothing further tonight, Mr.
All right.
President.
Thanks, sir. Directors, anything?
Nope.
All right, we'll go ahead and move this meeting to be adjourned to our next regularly scheduled meeting on October 26th. We're adjourned.
All right, then I am going to reconvene the Temecula City Council meeting, and we have a public hearing this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and read the opening statement, and then I'll read number 9. Any person may submit written comments to the City Council before a public hearing or may appear and be heard in support of or in opposition to the approval of the projects at the time of the hearing. If you challenge any of the projects in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city clerk at or prior to the public hearing. For all public hearings, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the city clerk or deputy city clerk, or by submitting an email to be read aloud into the record at the meeting. Email comments must be submitted to councilcomments@temeculaca.gov. Email comments on all matters, including those not on the agenda, must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments. At public hearings involving land use matters, the property owner or the applicant/property owner has the burden of proof and therefore shall be allowed 15 minutes for an initial presentation and an additional 10 minutes for rebuttal by its development team following other comments on the matter. The mayor may allow more time if required to provide due process for the property owner or applicant. An appellant other than the property owner or applicant and the spokesperson for an organized group of residents residing within the noticed area of the property, which is the subject of the public hearing, shall be allowed 15 minutes to present the appellant's position to the council. The mayor may allow more time if required to provide the due process for the appellant. All other members of the public may speak during the public hearing for a maximum period of 5 minutes each. Deferral of one speaker's time to another is not permitted. In the event there is a large number of speakers, the mayor may reduce the maximum time limit for members of the public to speak. All public participation is governed by the council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. Item number 9, adopt a resolution to approve the 2021-2029 housing element update, the 6th cycle, and an update to the public safety element, long-range planning project number LR 18-1620. All right, and Mr. Watson, I'm throwing to you.
And I will go ahead and throw to Mr. Rabideau, who's the project manager on this. He's going to lead us through a presentation along with our consultant, Ms. Amanda Tropiano over there. And then, of course, we'll take questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. It's nice to see all of you this evening. So tonight we're going to be covering two topics. We're going to go through the first topic, which is the public safety element. We'll pause, allow you to ask any questions, and then we'll continue on to the housing element. So the public safety element. Well, in compliance with state law, we're required to update our public safety element because we are updating our housing element. One of the things we need to do with this is do what's called SB 99 analysis. This is looking at evacuation routes in the community. We also need to update our policies to address extreme weather events like fires, and we also need to reference the city and the county's local hazard mitigation plans. These are important things to do to make sure that we are always compatible with any type of FEMA funding in the future if there ever was a disaster. Just to let you know, in terms of our other approvals, we've already had this approved by the state from their two agencies, from one state agency and one county agency, including the Board of Forestry Protection, and as well as the Riverside County Airport Land Use Commission. And a more detailed update is coming to our public safety element. We'll be doing this with our quality of life master plan and our full general plan update that is already underway. Are there any questions on the public safety element? Okay. Well, I finally get to turn it over to someone. I get to turn it over to our consultant who'll be presenting on the housing element, and I'll see you a little bit later in the presentation where we can ask questions as well. So I'll introduce Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Tropiano, and I'm a principal with De Novo Planning Group, excited to be working with the City of Temecula on your housing element update. So for better or worse, Brandon got the short side of this two-part presentation. Mine is a bit longer, so I appreciate your patience. We're talking about a really complicated topic, and there's a lot to unpack here, so thank you. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to start with just a primer. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the background of a housing element, but I'm going to go way back. So housing elements were first required for cities and counties in California way back in 1969 under then Governor Ronald Reagan. And since that time, the cities and counties throughout the state have been updating them periodically. So there have been, as you can imagine, many laws and regulations that have evolved since 1969. And bringing us to today, we're going to talk about some of those new regulations that impact the way that Temecula plans for housing. So the first City of Temecula housing element was adopted in 1993. This was the second cycle or second set of updates required of agencies in California. It was later updated in 2002, 2010, and in 2014. So you can count the number of cycles. We're in the sixth cycle. So you might hear me refer to it as your sixth cycle housing element or your 2021 to 2029 housing element. Those are interchangeable. This cycle, the sixth cycle, addresses that time period for the next 8 years. And every 8 years, when the new cycle comes out, new units are assigned to each jurisdiction, and the jurisdiction is required to plan to accommodate those units. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time tonight talking through what that means in more detail. So how are housing units assigned to a city like the City of Temecula? So first, starting at kind of the top of the pyramid, the California Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD, they calculate based on a number of statistics, projections, and working with lots of socioeconomic and demographic information, the total number of housing units projected that needs to be accommodated throughout the state. And this is then allocated to different sub-agencies to determine each agency's fair share. So first it goes to a regional agency. So here for most of Southern California, that's the Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG. And then they plan for how to distribute their fair allocation to each of their member agency. And again, we are in the sixth cycle, which covers an allocation period of 2021 to 2029. So these regional parties like SCAG, they develop a formula to distribute their allocation to their member agencies. That includes cities and it includes the unincorporated county areas. So SCAG went through a process of developing a methodology that looked at a variety of input factors. I believe their methodology report is upwards of 100 pages, and it included a variety of information, and I'll highlight just some of those. Things like socioeconomic factors, population trends, housing characteristics, commute patterns, access to transit facilities, access to job centers, existing housing needs, and so on. So this is resulting in what we would call the RHNA, or the Regional Housing Needs Allocation. That's each agency's fair share allocation of the regional housing needs. So as you're also familiar and have been briefed, the Southern California Association of Governments received quite a large allocation for this planning period of 1.3 million housing units to plan for throughout its regional entities. Through that process, they did allow for jurisdictions to appeal their RHNA. In 99.99% of the cases, those were denied. No significant changes were made to any agency that appealed its RHNA. As a result of this very robust process that resulted in very little changes, there was an approximately 6-month delay in every SCAG agency receiving its final RHNA. However, the City of Temecula has been hard at work meeting all of the original timeframes. Of course, the same courtesy was not provided to the agencies to receive a delay in the adoption of your housing element. So we are on track to continue to meet all of those original timeframe objectives. So every city and county, including the City of Temecula, receives its RHNA based on this formula or methodology developed by SCAG. And then the local responsibility is to demonstrate that the agency has sufficient land available for the private market to develop the number of housing units assigned through this fair share methodology. So again, these numbers are updated every 8 years. So 8 years ago, you had an allocation for your 5th cycle. We're in your 6th cycle. In 8 years from now, you'll get new numbers for the 7th cycle. So just to summarize, the state is at the top of the pyramid. They come up with the total number of housing units that need to be accommodated throughout the state. They assign a regional proportion to each of the regional metropolitan planning organizations. Here for most of Southern California, that's SCAG. SCAG developed a methodology that was approved by the state, and it used that methodology to distribute to the City of Temecula your regional share that you'll be planning for through this period. This process to develop a draft housing element has been ongoing. We started this way back in what feels like a lifetime ago in late 2019. A lot has changed since then, but we have progressed forward with developing a robust strategy to accommodate your RHNA, preparing and releasing a public draft housing element that was circulated for a 30-day public review period. We most recently were in front of your Planning Commission and then, of course, in front of you here tonight. We also are responsible for circulating the draft element to HCD for their review, comment, and confirmation that it complies with state housing law. So through the public outreach and survey process, we heard a number of key factors that are included as an appendix to the housing element, but I wanted to highlight specifically how some of these themes are addressed in the draft element before you tonight. So in general, we received some feedback related to members of the public wishing to purchase a home in Temecula, but that they were finding it too expensive to afford one. So we've identified a number of goals, policies, and programs, those listed on the screen, to promote home ownership and reduce the costs of purchasing a home. Another key theme we heard was regarding existing homes being in generally good condition, but needing some general maintenance. So again, developing goals, policies, and programs to improve and conserve your existing housing stock and support your current homeowners and your tenants with home improvement projects. A desire to see a variety of housing types available in the City of Temecula. So some goals, policies, and programs to diversify the types of housing offered here in your community. And then some general concerns regarding the role of new housing causing additional traffic concerns or other constraints on your infrastructure. And one of the things we'll be speaking to tonight is that the amount and availability of land to accommodate that regional share, to accommodate your RENA, is accommodated within sites already approved for existing residential development. So this housing element does not propose any rezoning or upzoning of sites to accommodate your RENA. These sites have already been designated as appropriate for residential development, and the subsequent environmental analysis to accommodate that development has been completed. Additionally, as future projects are proposed to develop housing at any income level, those, of course, are still reviewed on a case-by-case basis in order to determine the potential impacts on any infrastructure. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about the history of housing in Temecula and why it's important for us to plan for the next 8 years. So Temecula has grown a lot over the last 20 years, and it's grown significantly faster than the county as a whole. However, as the community reaches its development potential, that's starting to level out, and it's starting to more closely resemble the growth patterns at the region. Most of the significant community growth occurred in the early 2000s, but every year the community still continues to grow a little bit. And as vacant land continues to diminish, different types of housing development will occur here in Temecula, similar to other developing areas throughout the region. We also are required to consider the role of population demographics and the distribution of different segments of the community as we start to think about how new housing should be accommodated. So this is an exhibit through one of the state required sections regarding fair housing and some tools and mapping provided by both HCD and the federal government to provide insight into how we analyze this type of information. So you can see shown on the screen here is an illustration of the distribution by demographic class or ethnic or racial composition. And you can see that through this analysis, the distribution is very well integrated in Temecula. And so this is part of our considerations and analysis as we approach planning for housing. We also look at differences between renters and homeowners. Temecula has a lower percentage of renters when compared to the proportion of renters throughout the entire SCAG region. And of no surprise, most of your renters are newer residents. These are people looking for an opportunity to live in Temecula, maybe for the first time, before they're looking for homeownership opportunities. So most of your renters have moved to the community within the past 10 years. Since 2000, again, the community grew in a variety of ways. So it's added housing stock in really all different types of patterns. It's added single-family detached homes, but it's also added attached homes, small multifamily units that are 2 to 4 units, and larger units that are 5 or more units. And proportionately, Temecula has a higher proportion of its housing stock comprised of single-family detached homes than the region, but it's very similar to kind of your immediate area here in the county. Temecula's vacancy rate is a healthy 5.5%, and the average household size is just over 3, just about 3.25 persons. The vacancy rate for your rental units is a little higher than the regional average, but some of these statistics reflect issues related to things that are no longer necessarily relevant, including short-term rentals or seasonal properties that have been addressed through some of your local ordinance updates. But this is all very much in line with what would be expected in a community like Temecula and very similar to patterns in the region. But certainly home ownership here in the city has gotten more expensive. So home prices have trended upwards throughout really the city's existence. And then looking here specifically at the time period between 2012 and today, the median home price today is about $500,000. This is about 22% higher than the county as a whole. And if we start to equate that to what it means for a household to be able to afford a home like that, a household really needs to earn about $125,000 a year. That's around $62 an hour combined to afford the median home price, and that's assuming all your general homeownership parameters, 20% down, standard lending rates, et cetera.
Comparatively, after adjusting for inflation, in 2011, a household only needed to make about $97,000. So you can see that, relatively speaking, homes are getting more expensive and households need to make more in order to afford a home here in the community. Rents are also getting more expensive. We are at an all-time high for rental rates, and that trend's not expected to decrease. In summer of last year, the average rent for an apartment in the community was just over $2,000. That's 14% more than it was in the prior year. Rental rates are increasing for all unit sizes and prices. Almost a quarter of Temecula households spend more than 50% of their household income on housing. So this is a significant portion of your community that are dedicating over 50% of their household income to housing and housing costs. So the role of Temecula in the region is to receive its allocation of regional housing growth from SCAG and demonstrate that there is sufficient land available to be developed again by the private market to develop those units during the planning period. But that number isn't just taken on its own. SCAG provides additional guidance on how your overall RHNA is distributed to different affordability levels. So there are 4 key affordability levels that need to be addressed within the context of your overall RHNA. And those affordability levels are set by the state, and they depend on the household size. So for reference, we're going to talk about a household of a household of 4. If you're looking for different household size statistics, those are included, of course, in the housing element. But for a family of 4, the first category are very low income households, and those are households earning up to 50% of the area median income, which in 2020 was $75,300 for Riverside County. That's about $19 an hour total. Again, we're talking about household incomes. Very low households earn 51% to 80% of the area median income, up to about $60,000 a year, and that's about $31 an hour. Moderate income households earn between 80 and 120% of the area median income, so about up to $350,000 a year. And then finally, above moderate income households, those are earning 120% or more of the area median income, so more than $90,300 a year, more than $46 an hour. So what types of housing do these lower income units really kind of accommodate? So we thought it would be helpful to share the equivalent types of jobs that are associated with these household incomes. So for very low income households, those again earning up to about 50% of the area median income, these are individuals like your preschool teachers, your warehouse workers, and your grocery store workers. They're earning incomes within this category. Low income households earning up to about $60,000 per year or $31 an hour. These are jobs like a petty officer, 3rd class with a housing allowance, a starting teacher salary, some of your entry-level firefighters, even a restaurant manager or a resident physician. And then looking at moderate income households, those earning between 80 and 120% of the area median income, a deputy sheriff trainee, a 2nd lieutenant, again with a housing allowance, and professional services like accountants. These are all types of services and incomes associated with these types of housing, these types of income levels. So getting to the nuts and bolts of it, the city's RHNA for the 6th cycle, or the 2021 to 2029 planning period, is 4,193 units. And about half of these are dedicated to the lower income housing categories, so half dedicated to those households earning 80% or less of the area median income. Then 778 are allocated to moderate income households, those earning between 80 and 120%. And then about a quarter, or 1,255 of the units dedicated to above moderate income households. So what types of housing are available in the community, and what is the community planning for in terms of the next 8 years? So I've mentioned this before, but to confirm, the city's responsibility is to set the stage for the private market to develop housing. The city is not obligated to develop housing. It is not responsible for developing housing. Your responsibility is with the powers within your control, which is to provide land use direction for the private market to develop housing. Public funds certainly may be used to serve as an incentive or support the development of affordable housing projects or result in the restrictions or covenants on affordable projects. But the city's requirement to demonstrate through its land use plan, its zoning code, and other supporting documents like specific plans, that's what the city can do to help facilitate housing. And housing occurs at all different scales and densities. I think we can all agree that there are different points in our life where we want to live in different types of housing. So everything from small rental units to larger single-family homes. Different people at different points in their life are attracted to different types of housing. And so to be able to provide opportunities for your residents to continue to grow in the community at different points in their life you can help them by allowing for a variety of different development types. Also, by allowing for different types of residential projects, the city can do a good job in supporting your business community. Employers are looking for opportunities to house talent nearby their jobs. People are getting more and more tired of long commutes. So by allowing your employers to ensure that adequate housing opportunities are available for their employees, it's really a business decision and strategy as well. So housing comes in all different shapes and sizes, everything down from accessory dwelling units, duplexes, single-family homes, multifamily projects like condos and apartments, and mixed-use projects, where there's housing on top of other types of services like restaurants or offices. And projects, depending on their affordability, don't have to look that different. Affordable projects and market rate projects held to strong design standards and requirements can both look really nice and integrated into the community. And specifically, we wanted to talk about the role of what's called the missing middle. And this is really a national discussion about there being limited opportunities for development of certain types of housing projects. So this isn't unique to Temecula, but nationwide, there's been a lot of discussion about this missing middle, your smaller duplexes, triplexes, townhomes, your smaller units being available at lower costs than your traditional single-family detached housing that allow for more independent living and sufficient living space. So we call this the missing middle. This was a really common development pattern in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So prior generations had access to this housing as they moved out of their parents' house and before they bought their first-time house. They could use opportunities to live in this type of missing middle housing. But over the years, it's just become more financially difficult for developers to develop this type of housing, so it's missing in a lot of different markets, including here in Temecula. So the city has worked hard to address this through a variety of proactive projects. So specifically in Uptown Temecula, in the Uptown Temecula specific plan, the missing middle product is what is encouraged, incentivized, and desired in the Uptown area. So really trying to get at the heart of addressing the opportunities resulting in those missing middle. So Uptown was really designed and planned to attract jobs and employers by providing market rate affordable housing. So not deed restricted, not subsidized, but just housing that's affordable based on market rates in areas close to jobs and services where younger professionals or people looking for these types of housing products would like to live. So Uptown Temecula also looks for opportunities to redevelop or catalyze development in underutilized areas and really help create a thriving activity center in a focused kind of uptown area. And the city has seen success from this. The city has seen 2 recent residential projects and increasing interest in the uptown area specifically to address some of these missing middle concerns. So the graphic on the screen shown at the top, this is what, again, is used kind of in common nomenclature to describe what that missing middle looks like. And then you can see quite literally that the Uptown specific plan took the concept of that range of development options and specifically allows for the types of development that would be considered the missing middle housing products. But Uptown Temecula is not the only location where missing middle is addressed. Altair, Old Town, and the new Harveston overlay, specifically west of Inez, all also address the missing middle concept. So looking back at the city's success over the past 8 years, one of the requirements in the draft housing element is to evaluate the progress and past accomplishments that were included in your 5th cycle housing element. So generally speaking, the goals and policies included in your current housing element, they continue to be valid. These continue to guide the community in large part on how you want to plan for housing. But some existing programs have been revised, some have been added to address the feedback we received from the community, as well as to comply with some of these new pieces of state legislation. And those new pieces of state legislation that really influence our approach in the housing element are grouped around a few key topic areas, including affirmatively furthering fair housing, the role of the city in identifying adequate sites, specific updates to your development code to comply with state housing law, and then a variety of alphabet soup that are all reflected in your housing element. So some key highlights of the city's success and accomplishments over the past 8 years include the adoption of the city's affordable housing overlay zone and the entitlement of projects under those parameters. The city's continued to provide financial support to the County of Riverside Continuum of Care and other nonprofit organizations that partner in developing, providing services regarding housing here at the local level. The city's also issued an RFP to develop various city-owned properties specifically for affordable housing, has taken proactive measures to update your accessory dwelling unit ordinance and provided educational materials to support the development of ADUs in compliance with state housing law, and is focused on preserving your city's existing affordable housing stock. So for the past planning period, the city had a RHNA back in the 5th cycle of just under 1,500 units. And based on the private market development, the private market will have delivered approximately 1,895 housing units during that planning period, which is about 127% of your 5th cycle RHNA. You can see that the vast majority of those units were delivered in the above moderate income category, so additional attention really needs to be paid to understand opportunities to address the requirements at all income levels. So that brings us to the draft 6th cycle housing element here before you tonight. So it's really broken into 2 parts. The first part is the housing plan. These are your goals, your policies, and your programs that set the stage for how the city is going to address housing decisions during the planning period. The second part is the background report. This is all the analysis, technical information, statistics, demographics, analysis of constraints, a description of the sites and their adequacy, resources available to develop housing, all of the background work that goes into informing those goals, policies, and programs. So the draft housing element, again, does revise some of the city's existing goals and policies to better reflect state law and address the feedback we've heard from the community. And it does include some new policy direction as required by state law to maintain adequate sites throughout the duration of the planning period, the reuse of sites identified in past housing elements, and ways that the city can reduce impacts associated with non-governmental constraints to the development of housing. The draft housing element also includes a number of revisions to existing programs to better refine them and adjust them for the next 8 years. And those include refinements to the programs listed on the screen regarding the city's role in providing land use policy and development capacity, the density bonus ordinance, energy conservation, development fees, and equal housing opportunity. A number of new programs have also been added. Those are, again, listed here, but generally include administrative requirements for the way that the city tracks and monitors progress towards meeting its RHNA, some specific requirements to ensure that the city maintains a zoning code, development code consistent with state housing law, and some additional explanations and support to affirmatively further fair housing, again, in compliance with new legislation required to be reflected in your housing element. So the background report dives deep into the site's inventory, the actual adequate sites to accommodate the city's RHNA. So again, to clarify, the city has adequate land available to accommodate its RHNA at all income levels. No sites have been proposed for rezoning or upzoning as part of this draft housing element. The city looks also to opportunities to get what we call credits or progress towards meeting your 6th cycle. So the 6th cycle planning period has a starting date. It's July 1st of 2021. So any units that are coming online subsequent to that date, those are credited towards meeting your RHNA. So we look for units constructed or under construction, units that are approved but not yet built. And then we can also look to the future development of accessory dwelling units or junior accessory dwelling units as meeting a portion of the city's overall RHNA. Outside of those credits, we looked specifically at vacant land, so land that is not currently developed. Vacant land that's zoned for residential uses outside of your specific plan areas, and then vacant land that's zoned for residential uses inside of your specific plan areas. And that includes, both of those categories include any areas identified within the city's affordable housing overlay zone. So, breaking it down for you here as a summary as to how the city is accommodating its regional share of housing growth. So the 6th cycle RHNA, as a reminder, was 4,193 units, and you can see it broken down by the income categories on the screen. Subtracting credits for units in progress, projects approved but not yet developed, the potential for accessory dwelling units based on a history of the average of the past 3 years, the capacity for residential units within vacant area outside of specific plans. So vacant residential sites outside of specific plans look at a capacity of about 3,430 units, and then vacant residential land inside of specific plan areas has the capacity of about 5,773 units. Altogether, the city's been able to demonstrate that it not only has sufficient land available to accommodate its RHNA at all income categories, but that it has a surplus of land, a surplus of availability of land and units, also at all income categories, although primarily in the moderate and above moderate income categories. What that surplus does is it allows for the, again, private market to develop projects at these housing sites maybe a little differently than we anticipated. We unfortunately don't have a crystal ball to know exactly the number of units or the income level that may be proposed at a specific site. So by allowing for this small surplus, it allows those development applications to come in and for the city to consider them without some of the administrative burdens placed on you through some of these new housing programs regarding the reporting and tracking requirements. On the screen is an exhibit of the location of these vacant lands. This, of course, is included in the housing element. And I think I've made myself clear, but we've asserted that there is sufficient land available to accommodate the city's 6th cycle RHNA.
All right, I'm going to give Amanda a break and take this to the end. So we've got the public outreach portion. We just wanted to reflect that we did robust public outreach for this housing element process. We had a city website that was available, and we had a housing survey where we had over 860 surveys, which is the highest that we've had on a housing element. We had email lists and participation stakeholder lists where we continued to provide outreach throughout the process. We had general advertisements, including a newsletter that went to every resident in the city that included an article about the housing element. We had a social media branding campaign called How's This? We did email blasts, and we had newsletter sign-ups as well. We reached out to the chamber. We reached out to real estate associations. We put flyers at laundromats and coffee shops. We reached out to our homeless community by making sure that they had flyers available to them. And we reached out to our affordable housing community with targeted advertisement as well. So We really were out there, and we also included our seniors when they were doing the Meals on Wheels program. We made sure we got them paper surveys as well. So we had 860 survey responses, over 55,000 emails sent by the city alone. That doesn't include outside agencies that forwarded our emails. We had 33,000 newsletters, as mentioned, 77,000 social media impressions. So that's how many times our advertisements got in front of folks regarding the housing element, and 849 social media clicks. I'm not going to read through this entirely, but in terms of our CEQA compliance, we have determined that according to section 15164 and addendum, the general plan, final environmental impact report was completed. Wow. So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt the updated housing element and public safety element. Staff and our consultant are available for questions.
That was very impressive. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Great work. Okay, so questions? Yes, okay, Jess shaking your head.
Quick question. So does the Temecula residents get first dibs on this house for the RENA numbers? So for instance, for the very low, all the way up, what is it? I don't have it right here in front of me, but the very, very low at the bottom, all the way up, do our residents get priority to those houses, or is it kind of first come, first serve as far as whoever is in the lottery?
So just to confirm and clarify your question, you're asking if a new unit is built, does the city have any control on making sure it's only Temecula residents? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. No. The market, the private market, when these are for sale products, the market determines who gets to purchase it, whether it's someone making a higher bid on the home or whether or not they qualify for a loan.
No other questions? Wow, you guys did such a great job. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
So no credits given for the fifth cycle accomplishments by the city in our new allocation?
In your allocation, unfortunately, that is not part of the methodology used by SCAG to allocate its new cycle. It received an entirely new round of allocation from the state that's brand new for the entire SCAG region, and they use that methodology to distribute it equally. So the methodology used here by SCAG in this cycle didn't look at progress on your fifth cycle.
Well, then as a follow-up, if I may, sure. If we get to the seventh cycle, right. And let's just pretend for a moment we're at close to build out with our properties, right? And we get an additional allocation, what do we do?
It's a wonderful question, and you can imagine lots of jurisdictions in Southern California are dealing with this exact issue. They do not have the availability of vacant land. They're much closer to build out. It's been a challenge this cycle that I think that the state has started to appreciate in a different way. And I don't, again, have a crystal ball as to the methodology used to determine that statewide share or the regional share for the seventh cycle. But I would continue to recommend to the city that it continues to advocate for more control over the allocation it receives in future planning periods, and to continue to inform the regional agencies and state agencies the challenges that the city is encountering in accommodating new development as it approaches build out.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon, sorry.
Now, I'd just like to add, we're in this situation because of this council and prior councils being ahead of the ball, trying to address missing middle housing.
It's a good thing, by the way. We're in this good situation.
This is a good situation. Yeah. We were able to zone and plan on our terms, not the state's terms. So, congratulations to this council and prior councils for doing the hard work ahead of time.
Well, but we are now, which is good, but 16 years from now or 8 years from now, we might not be. So I'm wondering if maybe we could just make a note to continue a conversation with our legislative advocates in Sacramento, yes, and perhaps the league, because I know we're not the only city dealing with this, right? And so no. as we start to contemplate future legislation on allocations, certainly we would want the credit for the work we have done and staying ahead of that curve. But eventually we're not going to have that opportunity anymore. And I know a lot of cities are struggling with that given their lack of vacant land or just redevelopment opportunities in general. And there's a lot of resistance if you're, trying to provide the opportunity. What do you do? Upzone, residential areas to allow for multifamily that used to be single family. It becomes a challenge in the future. We're not there. We're not close to there yet, but it'd behoove us to get in front of that now. Yeah.
And we definitely need to stay in touch with our legislators. I heard numbers today of cities as much as 20,000. They have to make up for 20,000 homes. So, and even our numbers are better than we anticipated, right? Because of the previous planning that we had done and working with the development community. So
That is correct.
yeah, go ahead, Stu.
So just a point of clarification, more for the audience than for me, that these units don't have to be built. We have to provide for that amount of building. So if 8 years from now we only built 1,000, we're not going to get penalized because we're not building. The market is building. So I just want everybody to realize that this is not something the city of Temecula is pushing out there to have 4,000 units built, even though we're probably going to be well over that anyways. This is something the state says you have to accommodate for 4,000 units and let the market do what the market's going to do.
That is correct.
Correct.
And the other note is the cities that are built out, and Temecula will be built out, where all the vacant land is as it was planned in the original general plan, as developed. But the RENA numbers don't stop. They continue to assign us RENA numbers even though there's no place to put anything. So, and then the other catch-22 is that the state took away the only vehicle that we had to help finance those affordable housing units, and that was our redevelopment agency, which was working beautifully. So they stole all the money from all the cities, and here we are, but they keep assigning us numbers. Oh, it's a great day. Okay, so this is a public...
One last question, Mayor.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jess.
So I am in total agreement with my colleagues here, and my biggest question to you is and I was able to talk to some of the staff, but just so the public knows, what was our initial numbers that we were supposed to get for RENA? And then why are our numbers over half of what we were supposed to get?
Great question.
Which is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's much better, but yes.
Yeah, great question. So our original numbers were upwards of 11,000. And there's a range that we were looking at when they had the initial formulas. And what happened is, for the very first time since 1969, many of the coastal cities and urban cities said, you know what, we haven't been doing our part for a long time. And we have all the jobs, but all the housing continues to be pushed out. And so, and really a huge surprise to most cities in the SCAG region, the entire block of voting changed and said, you know what, we're going to bring back these units to the coastal cities and urban centers where the units belong. So people don't have to drive 2 hours to a good paying job. And so we're in a good position because of that. Cities in the coastal areas and urban areas, they have a much larger challenge ahead of them.
Mm-hmm. Anybody? Any other questions? Okay, it is a public hearing, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, and then we'll see if we have any comments. So I'm opening the public hearing for comments, and Madam City Clerk, is there anything?
Yes, we have 2 public comments.
Okay.
The first one is by Laurel Lamont, and the second one is Jessica Christopher.
Okay, thank you. Who's the second one?
Jessica Christopher.
Oh, okay.
And they do
Thanks.
have 5 minutes each.
Okay. Hi, Laurel, how are you?
Hi, I'm okay.
You're going to have to pull that mic down a little bit, too.
Okay.
There, thanks.
Are we good?
Yes.
Oh, I'm tired. Okay, so first of all, thank you. Thank you, Brandon, for including the missing middle in that housing element. I didn't see, when I was here at the Planning Commission, and I didn't see the land trust section and the possible local contributions from businesses, which I had suggested. So I know it was voted on at the commission, but I didn't see it in this one. I don't know if that was removed.
Madam Mayor, if I may just interject over here.
Go ahead, Luke.
They're in the
They're
draft,
in
the proposed draft. So
Perfect.
both the things that you proposed
So
are in there.
I want to say thank you, 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 thank you so many times. I've been asking for this for what, like 4+ years. I've been doing this a long time, and it took me a lot of work to come up with solutions and ideas and to help the city help its workforce. I want to talk more about how the workforce, and I know you didn't mean Target in that manner. I want you to know that I know that. Yeah. But we're not transitional jobs. You know, we are a very diverse group. Like when I open at 5 o'clock in the morning at the grocery store, we're all over the age of 40. And according to the housing element, $125,000 is what we have to make in order to afford a home here. So things are going to have to, something, right? We're going to have to come up with ideas. Land is finite. I'm aware of that. So Habitat's a great model. I think we need more of Habitat, and not just in the, what do you call it, single-family home realm, but creating Habitat in a more smaller, maybe condo type.
More density.
Right, there we go. So, and then I want to speak to, I share the concerns, and I want to speak for the workforce. We share the concerns of the potential opposition to this construction. We don't want the traffic. And I think that creating these home opportunities helps to reduce traffic, because a lot of these people, like they're not here right now because they have to go back to Paris, but they work here. And I just want to restore value to the service industry, because we want to serve this community, and we should be able to live within the community in which we serve. You know, we're capped at, like, what was it that we were talking about earlier, the manufacturing jobs, right? Yeah. So that is it $80,000, $125,000 in order to live here. So it's, you know, my girlfriend, who I also work with and is a teacher, she's got to go home soon, and her little's here, and everybody's at home feeding the kids. And so I'm speaking on their behalf, but they're here, and they're packing your groceries, and they want to be here too, and I feel like they should be here too. So thank you for the missing middle. Thank you for the new ideas. We need the new ideas. And I just want to keep showing my face here, showing that we want to value the service industry in which serves the community. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great ideas.
And the last speaker on this item is Jessica Christopher.
Mayor, City Council. So I watched this entire thing online. I'm under the impression that it's low-income housing. Am I wrong about that? Is it not low-income housing? It's not. Okay. Well, they're going to be able to purchase it. They're buying it. They're going to have equity. Okay, I'm good with that. Because that's an avenue for wealth and growth and healthy kids. This is good. What I am concerned about is what portion of the SB 9 is that. I watched 3 of their meetings, and I didn't hear any mention of SB 9. And my concern is that's in this element. And SB 9 maybe right now isn't going to be a big deal, but 10 years from now, it could very much be a big deal. And Blackstone is buying again in California, and there is major possibility to destroy this area. Meadowview specifically is a great opportunity for that. When the housing market dips, they'll come in, and then there'll be a 4-plex next to your house. There'll be a 4-plex next to a tract home. Are you fighting it at all? Are you fighting it at all? Cities are fighting it. Are you doing anything to stop that? No comment?
We're not allowed to comment during public comments. Is that it, Randy?
Madam Mayor, that's all the comments I have.
All right, so that's all the public comments. So I will now close the public hearing, and we are ready for discussion. Anybody? Discussion, thoughts?
Well, just one quick one. With regard to SB 9, we do have a position on SB 9, is my understanding, and so does the California League of Cities. And Randy, I know you're a legislative advocate for that activity. Can you just sort of provide us with a bit of a brief on what the Cal City's position was?
Sure, and actually, we were on the record as a city and also the League of California Cities and other cities up and down the state from the very beginning of the introduction of the bill as it went through the committee process as well, and we stayed on record. So we were also a part of the coalition that opposed it. Unfortunately, it did pass by the legislature and was signed into law by the governor, but we were actively a part of the opposition coalition from introduction.
Thank you.
Anybody else discussion? Jack, I see you going for the button.
Yeah, and maybe just a comment or two before we move the item. So thank you very much for the presentation. I spent the last better part of 2 years over at SCAG, so apologies for the delay. Getting that many elected officials in one room to agree on one thing was a fairly difficult task. Brandon's right. The coastal cities stepped up. The Inland Empire in general has typically been the affordable place, and the housing's been here, right? So we saw a shift. That's a good thing for us, but we were prepared for it anyways. Some of this in this presentation, and I went over this in our one-on-ones, was the sample workforce, like putting a face to an hourly rate really helps humanize this, right? Because we hear opposition to workforce housing, which quite honestly is a preschool teacher, a grocery worker, that's absurd. These are folks in our community. So it just made that presentation much better for me to digest, and I think the community as well. I think when we've certainly planned for this with Uptown Jefferson, that ability is there. I'd like us to see, sort of get some of that infrastructure in place, much like we did down here, right, in Old Town.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned the Uptown LA, mentioned some streetscapes to really drive that development. So we can have that missing middle as soon as possible, not 10, 15. But the opportunity's there. I'm excited for it. Laurel, thanks for your engagement. It's been a long haul, right? And it's been a bumpy road. We can all agree on that. But that's what I think we do well as a city is we engage, we work through things, and we get to a place now where, well, look, we have this really good housing element that has a lot of opportunity for folks to buy a home and generate wealth, which is what we all want to do.
Yes.
So, with that, I'll move the item, but I'm sure there's more discussion.
Anybody? There is and has always been a stigma applied to individuals who live in quote-unquote affordable housing. And somehow it got a bum rap. And so when we say the word affordable housing, I prefer the word attainable housing, because that means that the people that we work with, that we love, our neighbors, our family members, we've all been in the service industry at some point, right? You come out of school and you don't exactly know what you're going to do. You have a summer job. We need to keep our families and our residents here. It's always been disturbing that for years, and we're still doing it, we send our residents, the workforce, across the Ortega to Mission Viejo and those areas to work. And they did not want to, they weren't taking any responsibility for affordable housing. So, it was almost, I always felt that they were, well, they can't live here. We'll take them and we want them to come here and work, but then you have to go home at night. And so that has been wrong. So I'm very, very happy to hear that the coastal cities are stepping up. Really, they didn't have a choice. They could continue to fight, but the state has said that it's really going to start holding cities accountable now for this planning. And Temecula has made a way to achieve the current RENA numbers anyway. But again, those are not going to go away. We have to still, even when we're built out, we have to still make allowances for it. And then I said the state took away the only way that we could finance or help developers to provide this housing. Because when developers build affordable housing, or I use the term myself, when they build attainable housing, and with the restrictions that are placed on it, their project doesn't pencil. They can't get financing for those kinds of products. So it takes a special agencies to be able to do attainable housing projects because they rely on grants, federal funding, and things like that. So, and there is attainable housing in Temecula, and you can look right out the front of City Hall and see it. And much to the chagrin of some people, it's not what they imagine as, quote unquote, the affordable housing that they have applied the stigma to. It's beautiful. It blends in with every other. You can't tell attainable housing in Temecula from the housing, any housing. So that's the other important thing too. We don't want, people that work hard providing us food and our services and, Target. People who do, and young teachers and young police officers and firemen, young engineers. We don't want them to feel like they're less than anybody else. Temecula is a community of residents, period. And we don't judge our residents by what their incomes are. So we don't want people that have grown up in Temecula to have to live other places because they can't afford to live here. And what we've seen over the course of the last 2 years is just insane. We thought during the 2000, when we had the housing crash, we thought those prices for homes were ridiculous. Well, we've exceeded those now. The problem is we don't face the same kind of financing difficulties we did then, so a crash is not as likely, at least a crash of that nature. But this is needed, and for some communities, they have to be forced to take a strong look at their residents and their population and to promote this type of attainable housing. So, I support the item just for that. And the state has taken so much local control away from us. We've lost so much of our local control, and we are elected to make these decisions on behalf of our residents. And we don't like it when they take those decisions away from us. And so much of what we're talking about tonight, we really have no control over. The same way with the approvals for the new, I always want to call them auxiliary dwellings, but, and I don't want to use the term granny flats, but that's what we called them, the little smaller house you could build on your property. And the state has now said we cannot control those. Anybody, regardless of the size of their property, can build one of those on their property. So, and they can expand their homes, they can convert their garages, which previously they could not. And these are the items where we've lost local control. And, but yet we have to deal with it and, maintain that safe community. So, and we intend to do that. I'm just glad that we have had the vision all along to work on that attainable housing and that we're in a lot better shape than many, many cities. So that was a really, really good report. Can we put this up on the website? Absolutely. Yes, it's really good. Matt?
I had one quick question I forgot to ask. So we work through SCAG for this as the authority, or I should say the jurisdiction that oversees our RENA. Is that legislated? Like, how is that defined as to how we break out the jurisdictions under which we're falling?
Yes, that is. The City of Temecula is within the Southern California Association of Governments Metropolitan Planning Organization region.
Right.
So, yes, absolutely.
But is it legislated to specifically say it's the SCAG or SANDAG or that model is the measuring scale? And the only reason I bring it up is because if the language is fuzzy or there's an opportunity to revise that language, because I think you hit on something very important earlier, is the only reason the RENA numbers changed is because our coastal cities stepped up finally after a couple of decades. I don't want to rely on them anymore to do that, right? I mean, we are not coastal communities, and nor are they Temecula, and there's a lot of not just geographic disconnect between the two, but socioeconomic as well. So being lumped into such a vast region we are not the Los Angeles basin, right? I mean, let's be honest. So I'm and I realize that burden for many years has shifted out to the, Inland Empire and Riverside County because of their resistance to this. So, the only reason I bring it up is, again, if we're going to be proactive about this and deal with some of our potential legislative solutions, one of those might be to redefine what a region is, so that it's, we're going through that process right now, right, with the redistricting that's going on for congressional all the way down through, city council districts. And they always talk about, like communities, right? Well, we're not like Huntington Beach, so why are we lumped in with, a community that's so, different and disconnected?
Because they just drew the line at Los Angeles and southward.
So anyway, I would just say, if we're going to advocate for something else, then maybe we can talk to our local partners, WRCOG and others, to have that conversation. And I don't think I'm alone in saying that there's probably a lot of cities, East County, San Diego versus the rest. I mean, this is a common thread, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like for us maybe as part of this just to recognize that and maybe advocate for it as, a little bit prospective.
The other challenge is we never know what the numbers are going to be. I mean, we can plan and be visionary as much as we want, but we still don't know what the numbers will be when the next time that they do this. So, you aim high and do the best you can. Yeah. Zach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to piggyback up off of what Mayor Pro Tem Ron said. I can fully concur that SCAG is a massive MPO.
Yeah.
From Ventura County all the way out to Coachella. So if there is a way for us to define a smaller MPO, I'm all in.
That would be a massive undertaking, but somebody's got to propose it. It's worth a look. Yeah.
The role of WRCOG is absolutely right. Thank you for mentioning that. While you are within the Metropolitan Planning Organization of SCAG, there are more sub-regional entities that can help facilitate that conversation, the Western Riverside Council of Governments, or WRCOG, being one of those. So another wonderful opportunity to collaborate with your neighbors in similar positions.
Yeah, we want to follow up with that. So I am the WRCOG representative, so we should follow up with that. Any more discussion?
Mayor, last question.
Go ahead, Jess.
Just out of curiosity, who comes up with how do they come up with the allocation category numbers? So for instance, how many of each level has a certain amount of houses? How is that allocated?
It's a wonderful question. It's, again, part of the methodology. So they look at existing overburden, rent or housing costs in local communities, so the percentage of a population that's overpaying for housing. So when I described earlier, 25% of the Temecula community is paying 50% or more for their housing costs. They'll look at factors like that. They also look at overcrowded conditions. They look at market conditions in terms of, where different housing products are being developed at different prices. So all of that is considered as part of that methodology. So not only did it determine your overall allocation, that methodology also included the factors that resulted in the distribution of units. And that varies city to city. So different cities receive different proportions of their overall allocation within each income category.
So is it allocated because it's special to Temecula, or it's just allocated because it's needed?
The methodology is consistent, but the factors used to result in the output is unique to Temecula.
Okay.
So the methodology is the same for every jurisdiction, but the percentage of renters overpaying for housing is different in Temecula than it is in another city.
Okay, thank you.
Is that process written down anyplace?
It is, and I'm sure that your staff would be happy to provide you with a copy. It seems like this council member is familiar with it and perhaps excited to read it again.
Well,
I'll give you a copy.
It probably looks like spaghetti, right?
No, it's
where this
quite,
agency, if it does this, it goes this way, and if it's this one, it goes this way.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's quite informative, and it provides some more context than I can offer tonight. And also, as you start to plan to think about 8 years from now, it may lend some insight into the different topic areas that are addressed through this process.
In the meantime, they may change the procedure.
They most certainly will. 8 years from now, I am confident that the same methodology will be modified.
You're the data guy. Fix this. And staff, thank you. And thank you. It's really a great report. Great report.
Thank you to the council and all the subcommittees. They did a lot of work.
Okay, so we've
I'll
had.
second the motion.
Thank you. So let's vote. Did your screen come back, Jess?
I don't know. There we go. I
Okay.
actually got it.
And there we have, and that is unanimous, and that is approval of a huge, huge scope of work. So thank you, and very, very important. Okay. So we're down to the end. City manager, anything?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
City attorney Peter? Nothing?
Yes, Madam Mayor
Okay.
and members of the City Council, we did have a closed session, and we have no actions to report from the closed session.
Okay, any items for future agendas? And we'll be working on policy or procedures for that.
Actually, Madam Mayor, yes, I do have one. Due to the public comments today that was brought to our attention, one of the things that really came to mind was what Bob Quaid had brought up. And I know at least several of us here on this city council are very supportive of this type of maybe petition about supporting the unborn babies. And so I'd like to see if we can at least move to make it either an agenda item or have a committee or commission be able to look at it if possible.
Okay, so under the current procedures, then we've got the request for that today. We will look at it at the next council meeting, and then it will go to it'll go to a vote for being placed on the agenda.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'll make sure that that takes place, and I guess that's it, huh? Ready for adjournment? Okay. And we stand adjourned until the meeting of October 26th. Thank you.